This isn't journalism. This is bullying.
So recently my feed has been flooded with Stranger Things related content, and I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's the final season of a show that lasted for almost 10 years, and so, you know, it kind of makes sense, and it makes me feel old, damn it. Anyway, I've had a bunch of posts regarding the last season of the show, ranging from bad writing to alleged drama between cast members. But the one topic that kept coming back and caught my attention was the performance of the main actress, Millie Bobby Brown. For those of you who don't know who she is, Millie Bobby Bon Jovi, her real name, was born on the 19th of February 2004 in Marbella, Spain. She started her acting career in the show Once Upon a Time in Wonderland when she was 9 years old, and everybody knows her for her role as Eleven in Stranger Things that she started playing when she was 12. The main reason as to why people were focusing on her during the last season is not only is she like one of the main characters, but also her body changed. As I told you, she started as a kid, so it only makes sense to see her grow and change with the years, right? But that's not what people were addressing. What people were addressing was the fact that she had undergone surgery. People are debating what she had, like Botox, lip fillers, suctions, and whatever. I'm definitely not a specialist, as you can tell, and I'm pretty sure you'll find dozens of videos on YouTube or wherever on the internet debating what she probably had done, right? But for this video, we are going to focus on the fact that she had Botox. First of all, what is Botox? It's a toxin that inhibits your muscles. It makes them incapable of moving. Let's say I get Botox, right? If I try to raise my eyebrows like this, I'm trying, nothing happens because my muscles can't do it anymore. They're physically stuck. If you are showing any form of brain activity, you might be thinking that there might be some consequences when you inject your face and your muscles with a poison that blocks them from doing their job. And you'd be correct, my friend. Apart from the very obvious health complications that may come down the line, there are huge drawbacks to those kind of procedures, especially when your job is to act. Have you ever felt that nowadays every face is kind of similar? Like, not just people looking like one another through their makeup and clothes and hair and everything, but even the face structures are all very, very similar. Well, you're not crazy, my friend, because this phenomenon has a name. It's the iPhone face. What's an iPhone face, you may ask? Well, according to the internet, it's the face of someone who obviously has an iPhone. I kind of get what they're trying to say, but I don't think it's very descriptive. So let's just say it's a very symmetrical face with today's standard of beauty, right? While some people will say, oh my god, we should all embrace our differences and just be who we want to be, well, it's not really true. Because every now and then, when someone pops out of the mold or is a bit different, they will immediately be bashed for it. And you have plenty examples to pick from. Regardless of what some people say, society expects you to look a certain way, and they want uniformity. And that certain way of looking in today's standard is the iPhone face. But when we tie this back to cinema, we can see how everyone having the same face can really quickly be an issue. Well, first of all, casting. Everybody looks the same, so what's the point of casting this individual rather than this individual? If you have a specific trait in mind for your character, well, you're less likely to find it nowadays, because everyone has to look perfect. Another thing that causes problem during casting is the time period of your story. Let's say you're making a film about British royalty in the 1600s, right? If you have an actress or an actor completely Botox with fillers, suctions every now and then, well, it's going to be harder to sell the character because our facial figures really give a lot of information regarding where we're from and which period we'll live in. If I give you those two pictures and I tell you which one are you more likely to stumble upon in the streets in 2026, well, there's an obvious choice. And the opposite is also true. Like, you wouldn't expect to see a guy looking like Napoleon in your local Starbucks. Except maybe if you live in Florida, because wild stuff happening over there. Those type of procedures make it harder to find who to cast because of the lack of variety. Variety? Yes, variety. I think so. Then it makes it harder to sell a character because of their anachronous look. But above all that, we end up with actresses and actors that physically cannot act. I don't think I'm being too much of a lunatic when I'm saying that moving your face is somewhat a necessity when your job is to act, i.e., to convey emotions, right? We have those huge drawbacks that make you worse at your job and can just stop your career in some cases, but people still do it. And the question is, why? You will tell me, why do people smoke? It has no benefit whatsoever. And I'll tell you that I believe that it's because we are a pretty stupid species, but anyway, why would you not want your face to move? Because if you move, you get those. And I'm not talking about my creepy eyes. I'm talking about what's above. Wrinkles. And we do not want wrinkles. Why do we not want wrinkles, you may ask? Well, because wrinkles are an imperfection on a perfectly smooth surface. If your face is perfectly smooth, then it's better. And if there are wrinkles or red spots or zits or acne overall, it's bad. But most importantly, wrinkles are a sign of aging. And if wrinkles are a sign of aging, then that means that the lack of wrinkles means youth, right? On one hand, we have drawbacks, and on the other, we have benefits. And we can talk about that through the case of Millie Bobby Brown. This is what she looks like as of today as a 24-year-old. Let's go down the list. First, the benefits. Does she look like what she's expected to? Yeah, we can say that. Perfectly smooth skin, plump lips, same type of makeup as everyone else. Does she look younger? Well, that's the first weird thing with her surgeries, because she's 24 years old. She is young. So she doesn't need something to look young because she naturally is. And she looks like it because she is, you know? And on top of that, the surgeries made her look older, which is the exact opposite of what is usually sicked. But keep that in mind for later, okay? Now, the drawbacks. Is she not casted anymore? No, she clearly has no issue getting roles. Is she having any health issue due to the procedures? No, not that we are aware of. But the issue is that those tend to come way down the line, even though we wish for her to stay healthy. Now, for the most important part, is her acting impacted by it? Unfortunately, this is the biggest criticism she got in this season, for a reason. A lot of people jumped on her for not being able to convey emotions and making a weird face during the whole season. Unfortunately, I kinda have to agree. The uncanniness of her expressions comes from not only the fact that the surgery, especially on her lips, seemed to be a bit overdone, but also that as humans, we are really good at picking up details that seem to be not natural. When we talk with people, all the time, we are unconsciously reading their faces. The forehead, the eyebrows, the eyes, the cheeks, whatever. And when something is not moving, when most of your face isn't moving, well, it doesn't seem natural. And that's exactly what happens here. Everything seems weird because it's not what we're used to seeing when we look at someone's face. So Millie Bobby Brown, a young actress who was getting roles, got surgery. Why? While I am not in her head and I cannot tell for sure, I believe that society and Hollywood are to blame for that. The constant pressure of people to look a certain way, otherwise you're just gonna be torn apart. And on top of that, the Hollywood executives not willing to risk a single penny, well, that leads to a lot of pressure toward actresses and actors to do surgery. I keep saying that society wants that and they pressure that, so logically they should be happy, right? Well, obviously not. As we saw, people are just mocking her for being bad and for looking older than she actually is. So what do people really want? Do they want people to get surgery or do they not want people to get surgery? I think that this isn't what people really care about at the end of the day. They don't really want to know if you got surgery or not. What they care about, though, are the results. Do you look good or not? And I want to demonstrate this philosophy through the example of Demi Moore. In January 2021, she got surgery done, and oh boy, people were not pleased with the results. They were dunking on her left and right. And so, once you see this, the logical conclusion would be, well, people don't want to see surgery done, right? Just 1 year later, she had done surgery again. And you would expect the results to be the same. People bashing her for doing surgery, and that's not what you should do. And absolutely not, baby. She got praised all day long because of her surgery. And what was the difference? Well, look at those pictures, and you tell me what you think the difference are. On the picture on the right, people find her stunning. And that is the difference. People were begging to know who was her surgeon, what had she done, and everything. All that because she looked good, younger, and pretty. And on the other hand, on the left photo, she didn't look very pretty to a lot of people's eyes. And so, she got bashed for it. It's pretty funny when you think about the fact that she was then casted as the main role in the movie The Substance. There is a hint of irony in the air. Don't you feel it? Anyway, that's what people are seeking and pressuring celebrities for. Good surgery. In the world of surgery, there is somewhat of a goal, or I don't know if I should call it a goal. Online, they call it an era, the undetectable era. And by the name, you can guess that it means that a surgery is undetectable. And that's what people are pushing for. Not a natural face, not a come as you are, be yourself, age freely. No, no, no. They don't want that. They want a world where if you're not born pretty, well, you better get surgery. And if you are pretty and you dare age and show us that you are aging, well, boy, you better get surgery as well. And you better get the good one, because if you get the bad one, you're gonna be torn apart. So what does that say about us as a society, in my opinion? Well, first of all, that we are not as accepting and as open as we like to believe it. We like to believe that we are morally great people and we want what is nicer in terms of morality. But in reality, we are all just playing pretend. We can't accept the fact that we are not those morally nice beings and that we might be superficial. We keep saying that we want all body shapes, people to be themselves, people to be different. But as soon as people do any of those things, well, they are immediately bullied and forced back into the mold, or pushed to the side. Second of all, we tend to focus more on looks than functionality, whether it's in Hollywood or in your company or whatever. How many times have you seen a decision being taken, being the worst possible one, yet they decide to go with it because it looked nicer and people were going to be more accepting of it? And last but absolutely not least, since the beginning of the video, I've been talking about actresses and actors, right? And while actors and men in general suffer from this pressure, we have to admit that it's mainly a problem that women face. To this day, and God knows how long in our past, we've always objectified the female body. And this issue shows us, unfortunately, that we are still incapable of not doing so. And we are absolutely not on the path of recovery. To end on a personal note, I find it sad that Millie Bobby Brown felt pressured to do surgery and is being mocked for it today. I find it sad that people can't even be aging peacefully. And I find it sad that if you don't fit the mold, you're going to be an outcast. And so to all of that, I say, screw the constant pressure for uniformity, screw eternal youth, and just be yourself.